Hey guys, thank you so much for joining. It has been an amazing weekend here at Rei-con. So my name is Rachel Gainsburgh. I am the luxury short-term rental investing coach in the REI USA Supergroup. We meet every second and fourth Tuesday of the month at 9 a.m. And just to tell you a little bit about me, and I'm going to go ahead and minimize my little view right here so that we can see everything. Awesome. Okay, so I'm married, I'm a mom, I have two boys, I work a full-time W-2, and after spending years and years paying off student loan debt, after that grind, I'm just tired of the grind. So I was looking for a way to accelerate our savings and accelerate our way to financial freedom. And I found that through a luxury short-term rental investing. Initially, we actually were looking to do all of the cool HGTV stuff, fix and flips, the whole 9 yards, but quickly we realized the time commitment that it would take to do something like that, as well as the skill set that it would take. Not in our wheelhouse. So we decided to stay in our lane. The difference between us and most of the investors that you've encountered this weekend is we typically purchase things that are close to market value. We're still looking for a deal and terms, but we will purchase close to market value in order to just get the place up and running and set up and just start generating that revenue. Come on, PowerPoint. Okay. Again, that's our strategy. My goal was how can I control the least amount of properties for the max cash flow or for the max profitability. And so I do have door envy like the rest of y'all. And when I see someone like Stacy with thousands of doors in her storage facility business, as well as others with hundreds of doors in their multifamily, I'm like, gosh, that's a lot of doors. That sounds wonderful. However, again, think about the management side of that. If you're not utilizing property manager, and we manage on our own, that is a heavy lift for, a team of two, my husband and I, as well as we have others who are helping on the team. Think about that lift to have hundreds and hundreds of doors to manage when you're still working, full time. And I do enjoy, for the most part, I enjoy what I do for a living. I'm a pharmacist by day. And so I am in that helping professional world. So I'll continue to work. I'll continually do some of that. And so for me, it's being really strategic and intentional in how we purchase our investments, the types of investments that we purchase in order to create that profitability. And by the way, these are pictures of some of our properties and how they've been staged. And a couple of those have been featured on a Netflix TV show that is going to be coming out in 2022. So just wanted to put those pics out there. And so to get started, to kickstarting your luxury short-term rental investing, I wanted to really help you all to start to get clear. This is an activity I do with my coaching students. Help you get clear with the type of business that you are wanting to design. And so clarity is going to be key. And when you're getting started in this, with this asset class, you want to make 6 key decisions. And in this webinar, you're going to learn about goal setting and doing a self-inventory. We're going to talk a little bit about some use cases for short-term rentals, as well as the strategy for finding your ideal client avatar. We're going to talk about markets, the different markets to invest in, and the different types of properties that are available to invest in, as well as budget. Think about your budget, think about your funding sources. And Stacy, as she mentioned a little bit earlier, private money is really a great way to fund some of these deals. This is something that we're working on as we speak, but the majority of our funding has been traditional, conventional types of funding. Gross revenue and acquisition strategy is going to be huge. What's the gross revenue you're looking for? And what is your acquisition strategy? Because honestly, there are 4 strategies in the management of your short-term rental or in the acquisition of your short-term rental. And we'll talk about management strategy. All right, so let's jump into key decision number 1. And Stacy, if there are any questions now before I dive in, please let me know. There's not much visibility on my end whether or not there are questions, so feel free to interrupt. We're good? Okay, awesome. So key decision number one, which sentence best aligns with my vision? Okay, are you looking for a rental? Excuse me. Primarily, that the number one goal is you need this to be an investment to not only pay for itself, however, to cash flow and provide you some additional revenue streams. You know, like Stacy mentioned a little bit earlier, she has a plethora of revenue streams. You know, having 2, 3 revenue streams is no longer a luxury. It is a necessity in this day and age in order to live the lives that we want to live and design a life that we want to live. So is this going to be primarily for you to generate revenue, or is this number two, is this 50-50? Is it like you want to get some revenue from it, or and at the same time you want to utilize it for your own personal use? And finally, is this vacation rental a home that you definitely want to use as a vacation home primarily? And if it can help with, you know, offset some bills within the property, is that your goal? You know, you just wanted to offset a few bills. And so depending on where you are on this spectrum, depending on which of these align with you, that's going to inform the type of home you're purchasing. That's going to inform the revenue that you are going to produce from the property. So for instance, I work with others who are purchasing vacation rentals or homes that they want to leverage as a vacation rental. And I help them to set it up. I help them to manage it. But if they tell me, oh, Rachel, I want to, you know, for the summer months, I want to reserve the summer months for all 3 months, and I want to stay there with my family. Well, we're going to revisit this vision, right? Because then at that point, if summers are your peak season, and you're saying that you want this property to be primarily serving as an investment, you're going to miss out on your peak months. And during the summers in some properties, especially in the Panhandle, the summers pay for the entire year and then some. So if you're going to block it out for you to have fun, and that is okay, but do not, you know, don't go in a delusion and think that it's an investment property. It's not. At that point, it's a vacation home, and you're going to offset some costs, you know? So just get really clear about your vision for that particular property that you're purchasing, because it's going to make a difference on the type of property you purchase. It's going to make a difference on the revenue that you're generating. And so if I have a homeowner is looking at their P&L and their statements, and they only made $30,000 a year, and then the next homeowner made $120,000 for the year net, and they're looking at me sideways and they're like, well, why did so-and-so make, you know, this amount? Well, they really got laser focused and allowed the house to be rented out year round versus, you know, utilizing it for their own personal use. And so it depends on the stage you are in life. For us, we're still building our portfolio. We're about there, but for us, we're still in that number one realm where we're, you know, we have little kids, we're trying to get college, you know, squared away. But, you know, as time goes on, we'll be in the second section, and then finally the third section. Then we can have a home. Maybe we don't want to rent it out at all. We just want to enjoy it and just be by the lake or be by the ocean, and so on and so forth. So determine what your vision is for this property that you're purchasing. It's going to inform how you calculate whether or not at the end of the year you met your goals. Does that make sense, everyone? Please type in.
No questions yet. I'll jump in if there's a question.
Okay, awesome. Decision number two, who is your ideal customer avatar? Okay, and I'm sure you guys have seen this before. Sometimes it's called ideal client avatar, ICA. Who is that perfect customer who wants and needs the exact property and value proposition you're offering? And so this is such a loaded question. And I really believe that the riches are in the niches. You know, we really got laser focused in our own personal portfolio, and to each is his own. I have a buddy who, he's a single guy. He lives in hostels. He travels to Barcelona, and he goes all over the world. He'll go to the Canary Islands. He'll go to the US. He'll go to Canes. And he just backpacks everywhere. He lives in Airbnbs and he goes, to high rises. It's all about the nightlife for him. And for him, he actually owns 8 or 9 short-term rentals himself. And guess who his ideal client avatar is? It's himself. So he's looking for a place that's going to suit a single guy who's traveling. So a little 1-bedroom flat or, a studio that's pet friendly. He's got a big old dog that's pet friendly, where he can walk to all of the nightlife and he can really, really enjoy himself. That's who he's serving, so he got really laser focused on this individual, and the same for me. And he's in another short-term rental mastermind that I'm a part of. And so for me, my ideal client avatar, ideal customer avatar is a multi-family person. So like if I'm traveling with my sister and her husband and kids, and my mom and dad and my brother and his kids and my kids, and we got 3 dogs. And so how easy is that to find accommodations? It's not very easy. And, and if we're going to be traveling for a bit of time, a couple of weeks, a month, the last thing you want is to board your dogs somewhere, right? So recognizing that there's a need and a gap in this industry, we look for properties that are going to align with and meet the needs of that client avatar. And so I'm looking for homes, for the most part, that are 5 bedrooms and above. I'm looking for homes that are pet friendly. If there's a little fence, for a dog or a couple of dogs, you know what? If I'm looking for a property and it already has a fence in it, you know what? That's going to be a winner. If it has a little, maybe even a garage that's set up that I can put a couple like a pool table and then a ping pong table, something like that, that is going to be key for me. And so amenities, in-home amenities, a place that I can mock up a game room of some sort. If it has a swimming pool, I know as risky as it sounds, but if it has a private swimming pool, I'm going to look at that property. If it has a hot tub in the right market, I'm definitely going to look at that property. So when I'm comparing and contrasting one property versus another, those properties that are going to be larger, open spaces, family friendly, those are going to be the properties that are going to be more towards what I'm looking for in purchasing. And so I may not, it may not have all the bells and whistles, but I'm looking for that type of property in order to serve my ideal customer avatar. And it really doesn't matter who or what type of investment strategy you have. If you're thinking about your customer, and who your ideal customer is, you're gonna win, because you can kind of place yourself in their shoes and identify what needs they have. And so for me, I've named my ideal customer avatar the Smith family. And I think about from the booking experience all the way down to checkout. How's the kitchen set up? Is it open? Do I have quality pots and pans? Because mom or grandma or someone or dad is going to want to cook some good meals within that unit. And so especially in this day and age, a lot of times there's not a lot of eating out. And so how's the kitchen set up? Is it well stocked with the basics? Can I put in a few boxes of cereal? Can I incorporate a couple of pet beds in that unit in order to make sure that this ideal customer avatar feels served and feels as though I see them? And so that's going to be huge when selecting a property for your luxury short-term rental. All right, so where do you start? Where do you start? So which of these will align with your preference? Do you want to start in your own backyard? Or do you want to start, at a resort vacation location that is within 5 hours drive of your home? Or do you want to just go anywhere? Okay, so my preference, honestly, if this is your very first rental, start in your own backyard. And it's interesting because we have the vast majority of our portfolio is in our own backyard, and we do not live in a vacation resort community by any stretch of the imagination. But I will tell you that we have had the opportunity to serve a lot of folks since I'm in Georgia, a lot of folks in the movie industry, as well as a lot of folks who are undergoing some type of major catastrophe in terms of their homes. So if they need some type of relocation due to some type of severe damage to their homes, whether it's a fire, whether it's a flood, they come and stay with us for a couple of months. And so what's hatched is a whole other business model where we are housing families of 8, 9, or 10. A lot of these families, they have, mom, maybe stay-at-home mom. They're coming from 7,000 square foot homes. Our homes, the max, I believe, is like 4,500, which is quite large. They're coming from 7,000 square foot homes. They've been staying in a hotel for a week, and we're the only thing in town that's available to serve them because we can house 10, 12, up to 16 in one of our 2-unit homes. And so definitely this is a B2C type of business or B2B business model instead of B2C, because we're dealing directly with the insurance companies. And we kind of stumbled into it, and it's been really beneficial to our business. And so we love, serving this population because the insurance, it does pay. There are going to be caveats, and I know you may have heard horror stories here and there, but just do your due diligence like you normally would, or just reach out to me and I'm happy to look at any inquiries that you may get regarding insurance. So we started in our own backyard and we have been winning since. We've since expanded to the Poconos of Pennsylvania. We've got a new construction happening that's been happening forever in Florida on the Panhandle, the Smokies of Tennessee, and so on and so forth. So definitely, if you want to start in your own backyard, that is going to be my first recommendation. Finding a home that is going to be okay from a regulations perspective. So really understanding your regulations, reaching out. Don't be afraid to reach out to the county clerk and say, hey, I'm interested in doing short-term rentals in my neighborhood. What are the rules around that? And so honestly, I know people shy away from that, but if there's interest and if there's, if there are questions, they're gonna want to either, support it because they are gonna get, taxes, or just make some very clearly defined rules around it. So it's better to have rules, that you know of than to not have rules and you just kind of, just kind of wondering whether or not you're operating in a legal manner. But I never recommend operating in a manner that's not legal, because it's kind of like building your business on sand and then it's going to come crumbling down. So definitely reach out and see what the rules are, and to see whether or not you're able to operate. And I will caution with HOAs. So HOAs are a funny thing, because when I first started, I was like, no HOA, absolutely no HOAs when I'm looking for a property. However, what I found is that when you go into the resort markets, when you go into the vacation rental markets, what I'm finding is that those are going to have HOAs that are there to kind of provide the funding for all of the extra amenities, whether it's a boat slip, whether it's the community pool or the hot tub. So my mantra is no HOAs in suburban markets, but HOAs are okay in vacation rental markets where the vast majority of the properties are vacation rentals. Okay. And so so the second one says, if your goal is to have a vacation rental in a market that is 5-hour drives from home, that is great. Now, if you want to have one anywhere, my only caveat is to make sure you speak the language, especially if you're starting out, or if you have a spouse that speaks the language, is great. Do not go into the market where you don't speak the language. Okay. So I speak French. French is actually my first language. So I can have one in Paris if I would be able to afford it, but don't go into a market where you don't speak the language, is my recommendation. Okay, so that's key decision number 3. Any questions before I move on to key decision number 4?
Nothing yet.
All right, I hope everyone's awake. Okay, so key decision number 4, budget, funding, and financials. Okay, so what is your purchasing power? Understanding what your purchasing power. So my ideal budget for my first luxury short-term rental purchase is Think about that number. And so what that number is going to do is going to inform you on where you can purchase. So if you, in key decision number 3 said that you want to go in a vacation rental location that is 5 hours or less away. Okay, say I'm in Georgia, and say my budget is $150,000 versus 200,000 versus 300,000 versus 500,000, right? So if my budget is $150,000, most likely the areas that I'm going to be able to purchase maybe somewhere like Myrtle Beach, a condo in Myrtle Beach, or something of that sort. Okay, I won't be able to look at properties, say on Destin beachfront, because those are, instead of 150,000, those are like 1.5 million. So it's going to identify and kind of help narrow your search for the types of properties. Back, I think even last year, 2 years ago, 150,000 or 200,000 or less, if that is your budget, you could have gotten a condo, beachfront condo in Panama City Beach, And so these are markets that I'm familiar with. However, I don't think those numbers are the same today. But say, for instance, you are in Middle America, Texas-ish. I believe in Galveston, Texas, you can still get properties for less than 200,000 that are very, very close to the water. And so knowing your budget is going to help identify and help narrow your focus on where you can purchase. Okay, and I have the following funding sources for my next deal. And so you want to have your down payment ready for your next deal, whether you're qualifying for 5% down, 10% down, or 20% down. And so with all of Stacy's tips and tricks with whether it's private money, and I know our next talk is going to be talking about IRAs and utilizing, retirement funding to purchase your deals. That's what I'm going to sit in on because I'm very interested in that. Get creative. If you're going to joint venture partner, write a list of every single funding source that you can come up with in order to create your next deal. So say your budget is 150,000. Well, if you can qualify for a 10% down loan with a second home loan, that's going to be 15,000 plus closing costs. So say 18 to 20,000 to get started. And so my strategy is a little bit, I would say it's a little less conservative than others, because honestly, I scrape as little money as possible to put down because I like cash reserves. I prefer to hold on to as much cash as possible and then just purchase the property utilizing a loan that's going to be cheap money, 3% interest, 2.5% interest, because I'm leveraging my W-2. And so everyone's situation is going to be different. So if you have a W-2, leverage that to borrow cheap money. But if you don't, if you're 1099, if you're, a self-employed, you may want to look at some other packages such as commercial or asset-based loans, and those are going to tend to be, more expensive ways to borrow money. Okay, but write down every single funding source that you have available. And Stacy just spoke power into us a little bit earlier. I am a money magnet, I am a money magnet. And so, getting people to see the types of deals that we're doing, I kid you not, people have approached us looking for deals, looking to partner with us for deals because they see the types of, they see what we're doing. So you can't sell a secret, right? And so if you're keeping it a secret that you're an investor, or you're keeping it a secret that you're trying to invest or you're starting this up, no one's going to know. And honestly, I'm a private person. And in the beginning, I was like, so cringe. Oh my gosh, it's so cringy to tell people what you're doing, but you can't sell an investment. My husband, he tells everyone what we're doing. And I'm like, oh, but you know what? We get the best deals when he's just blabbering on, blabbering our business all out there. So it's, it really, really helps. You can't tell a secret. So let people know what you're doing, and the funding sources will, be magnetic and come towards you. So for sure. All right, let's go to number 5. Okay, so this one's a little bit heavier.
Okay, well, real fast, we do have actually a question.
Oh, yay.
Somebody's actually listening to you. Does your budget include furnishing the property, or is there a percentage to include outside purchase price?
That's a great question. Yes, there is an amount to include outside purchase price. And to be honest, I haven't made it into a percentage. So my budget is typically after purchasing, the initial budget is just a purchase price for the property. In order to furnish a property, and there are levels of furnishing, right? So it's anywhere from 3,000 per room to 5,000 per room. Generally speaking, as a rule of thumb. I'm kind of crafty, and believe it or not, I talk luxury, but I'm really cheap when it comes to furnishings, and I'm really frugal. So I have access to a lot, like even now there's, auctions going on that I'm getting my pinged on them because I love purchasing things from auctions and so on and so forth. But if I'm going to go into Ashley Furniture, like I did this weekend with one of my homeowners, the budget is going to be about 3,000 per bedroom to 5,000 per bedroom. So for instance, if you're buying a 3-bedroom home, that's going to be $9,000 to furnish that home with a standard, level of furnishings, or 15,000 to furnish that home with a higher end finish. Okay, so that's going to be in addition. Does that make sense? Okay, so stay tuned. I'm actually going to look
Sorry,
at.
I was trying to unmute myself.
Okay.
Yes, makes sense.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, stay tuned. There are options out there for sure. Like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I'm a part, I like to look at auctions. So there's an auction called BAC Auctions. And what BAC Auctions is when a new construction builder, right? They built out this whole neighborhood. They're done. They've sold whatever percentage they're supposed to sell. They've moved on. Well, all of the furnishings that are in the 2 or 3 or 4 model homes, like stunning furnishings, they put them on auction. And these are lightly used. And to be honest with you, I would say 80% of our portfolio of furnishings are going to be lightly used. We hardly buy brand new furniture. Our linens are new, but our, furniture is lightly used. Pottery Barn, West Elm, just really high quality furnishings that are lightly used, and so as they move on, they're going to auction those on a website called BAC Auctions. And it's not, you won't find your city all the time, but keep looking back on that website and your city may show up depending. So Lennar Homes and Ryan Homes, all of those guys are on there auctioning. So I think right now there's one in Cumming, Georgia, an auction in Cumming, Georgia. There's one in Duluth, or, near Cumming. There's, so townhomes, whatever new construction's happening, after all of that pretty designer, furnishings, after they're done, they auction it out. And so we grab units that way. If there are really big estate sales and really high-end neighborhoods, we'll check those out. And if the furnishings are nice enough, and I walk in, and if the furnishings are nice enough, and I'm like, wow, some of these pieces are really nice, I'll walk in and I'll straight up make a deal and say, okay, hi, my name is Rachel. I am furnishing an entire house. I love everything that I see. Here's $10,000, close the door. And I call my movers and they come and they start, unload it. And that saves them 3 or 4 days of advertising. And so we've been able to outfit entire homes, and those pictures that you saw with some of those furnishing, just by walking into estate sales, being one of the first ones there and just picking up the whole load, and whatever is, not the best condition, just donating that. So furnishings are something that I know is near and dear to a lot of people's heart. Definitely those are some of our strategies. And I'm also a part of a GPO, which is like a group purchasing organization. I don't want to go too deep into that, but once you have multiple properties, you can come into this organization to purchase as a group. So there's definitely ways to save on furnishings. please do not let furnishings be the thing that is the bottleneck in your business, because there are ways to purchase, and I've heard of people renting as well. Okay. All right, so number 5, key decision number 5, how much is it that you're looking to gross per month in rental revenue during your first 12 months? How much are you looking to gross? And not to be facetious, but honestly, the amount that I'm looking to gross really informs my decision-making for the type of home that I'm purchasing. Again, W-2, working full-time, 2 boys in school, doing homework. I really have to be strategic. I really have to be intentional with the types of homes that we purchase. If I were a full-time investor, it would be a whole different conversation, right? So for me, if the home is not going to gross me a particular number, and that's about, my number is about $10,000 per month in gross rental revenue, based on my calculations, based on pacing, based on evaluating my market, based on looking at my competitor. If it's not going to gross about 10K per month, I tend to shy away from that property. And so what are the properties that are grossing me 10K per month or more? It's going to be 5 to 8 bedroom homes. Those are the ones that are grossing 10K a month or more. So what that does for me, again, it really narrows in my focus. So Stacy is one of my coaches. When I see Stacy purchasing yet another, storage facility, I go over, I'm like, Stacy, I want to buy a storage facility, and she reminds me, she goes, stay in your lane, remember, focus, and so that really helps me focus. So find out what your number is. Find out what your number is. What is going to be an ideal number for you to gross per month? And what it does for me is, if I'm grossing that amount per month per property, then I only need 4 or 5 properties. I don't necessarily, I'm not necessarily looking to have 100 properties, so it serves in multiple fashions for me. So for me, I'm looking to gross that amount per month. And if I run my calculations and it's not looking like it's going to gross an average 10K per month, then I move on. Okay, does that make sense? All right. So I'll wait for questions, but
Wait, we got a question. We got a question.
yeah.
How do you know how much to charge your client? How do you advertise your property?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so it really depends, right? It depends on the market. It depends on the type of house. It depends on the location, and it depends on the demand. And so that is a really loaded question, because not only do I look at what the hotels are charging, I look at what the other homeowners are charging. The beauty of Airbnb is you can see everyone's business out there, right? You can see what everyone else is charging, and then you can inform, your pricing strategy based on that. So I use that in a more sophisticated way, using AI algorithms and all of that to price my property. And it's not a set it and forget it. And it's something that we actually talk about in our super group. I'm not going to set my price to, $200 a night and forget it, or $300 a night and forget it. If you were to look at the back end of my properties to look at my pricing, it's $313 Tuesday, Wednesdays $375, Thursdays $215, Fridays $342, and it goes up and down based on the same revenue management type of algorithm that the hotels and the airlines are using. And it's going to be based on so many factors, guys. Compression events, if an event is coming to town, well, I have, the algorithm on the back end that's going to know that so-and-so announced they're going to have a concert on the 15th. And so it will come into the system and help me update my pricing. And so it's very complex. It's definitely not a set it or forget it. The first steps is me kind of training the algorithm, and then it kind of takes it from there. I just go in and I look at the pricing and I make sure, that the pricing looks good. Nothing looks, out of the ordinary. And even when it looks out of the ordinary, I kind of let it sit for a moment to see what's going on. And so we've had tremendous success using our pricing algorithm.
And this is something that you'd go into in the sessions, right?
Yep, we're getting there in the session. So yeah, check me out for the Luxury Short-Term Rental Investing Supergroup. We have done a deep dive on market analysis, and we're going into pricing very soon.
And Eric is asking, your gross revenue of 10K per month is based on short-term or medium-term rentals of 30 days or more?
It's a combination. So in the Poconos, it's based on short-term, minimum of 4-day stays. And in Georgia, in the non-vacation rental market, it's based on midterm of 14 days. I call that midterm still, it's 14 days or more.
And it says, do you have or have you done any co-hosting or arbitrage?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's interesting, and we'll go into that. That's actually this little bottom portion here. We'll go into that in a second. So it's interesting. I think Stacy, you were one of the first ones that suggested that I go into that. So for us, what is your preference? Okay, so depending again, what is your current situation? Is your preference, you just want something turnkey, a house that's brand spanking new, beautiful? That one is going to require a lot of upfront costs in the purchasing. And so keep that in mind. What is your preference? What is your preference? So mine is the second one. I like something that just needs a little bit of lipstick, and that's where we were for a long time. But now I think with the current market, we may need to down tier a little bit and look at things that may need a bit of rehab, because there's not a lot of inventory on the market within my budget that just needs lipstick, right? Everything that needs lipstick is priced high. So definitely it's something that we're going to look into rehab and maybe leveraging a 2 or 3K loan. We've just been talking to everyone, and we're chomping at the bit for our next deal. So we're trying to figure out how to strategically purchase our next one. So determine what type of person you are. If you're working full time and if you have zero bandwidth, I would not recommend, and this is your first property, I would not recommend a full rehab right now. The prices are high for, materials. The prices are high for contractors. There's a lot of stuff going on out there. So I wouldn't recommend it unless you have a team that you trust, that you're working with. So just a word of caution.
And Scott's asking, what is co-hosting and arbitrage, which I think you're going to get into, right?
Yeah,
a little bit at least. And then also, just Rachel teaches. Rachel does luxury vacation, and and then also Rich is part of REI USA, Rich Monroe, and all he does is arbitrage. That's really all he does. So you could always go, if you really want to get into arbitrage, go hang out with him, because that's what he teaches as well. But he's another teacher. He's not teaching this weekend, but. And then one more question. Do you work with other people on the purchase, setup, and management of their luxury? Do you work with other people on the purchase, setup, and management of their, yes. Can you do that, Rachel? Can you help other people? There you go.
Absolutely. I am here for you. I'm your girl. Listen. So in the Poconos location, when you're doing co-hosting or property management, you have to be a licensed realtor. That's something a lot of people don't understand. So in order to handle other people's money in some states, you actually have to be a licensed realtor. And y'all, I'm not a licensed realtor. So I have a partner who actually is a licensed realtor, and she helps with the purchasing part, and I help with the setup, and I help with the listing of the property, optimizing the listing, the pricing strategies that I was talking about a little bit earlier, to help generate that revenue and demand that pricing that property deserves. So for sure. So I help with all of that. In Georgia, on the other hand, you don't have to be a licensed realtor to do all of those things. So yesterday, literally, I was shopping with a homeowner who had just purchased a property. What's been great is realtors have been reaching out to me because they know the type of homes that we design and the types of clients that they have. So if there's some kind of synergy there, in order to close that deal and the homeowner's like, well, I really want to buy it, but I'm not sure if I'm really going to be able to have the bandwidth to set it up. And they say, oh, we have someone for you that can help you. And so as a little demo yesterday, I was sharing a video with my little community of a tour we were taking at this home that we went that had an airplane hangar, and there was a little airplane in it. And this is a community where people, they just fly in and fly out. And it was just completely mind blowing. At one point I asked the homeowner, so do you go to Publix with your plane, or what's happening right now? And she said, to be honest with you, they take one of the planes to Sam's Club. Oh my gosh. So my mind was completely blown, and outside of my territory for sure, but definitely an interesting property that we're going to add to the portfolio in a property management capacity.
Are you talking
So
about Williamson?
Williamson,
Right, so is it right south, like in the south area of Peachtree City?
no, Mallards in Locust Grove.
Oh, wow, I never even heard
Mallards
of that.
Landing.
Oh, cool. So
Yeah.
there's, yeah, because there are little tiny communities in the Georgia area where they have the airports, and then
Yeah.
like all of the people just build their houses around the airports. Isn't
Yeah.
that crazy?
It is crazy. And I kid you not, I really want to build an airplane hangar in my backyard just as a storage unit so I can stop paying for storage facilities. I have like 8 storage facilities. So I'm looking at, oh, can someone build me an airplane hangar? Because I kid you not, it's a giant garage, really, is what it is. So I was like, oh, I need one of these just to have all my stuff in one place.
That fits perfectly into what you do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but I heard there's so much, with the airplane hangar. I'm like, okay, never mind. Licensure, insurance, all of that. It's like, okay, never mind. But yeah, so they taxi into the subdivision, and then when they land, they then drive the little airplane to the garage. I'm like, I thought that was hilarious. But back on the subject. Okay, really, guys, here's what I have discovered over the last year or so. There are 4 models and 4 approaches. And I know on the next slide, we're going to talk about it a little bit more. So there's ownership. Okay, you purchase a property, you own it, and then you set it up as a short-term rental. That's called landlord short-term rental. The second one is arbitrage. And what arbitrage is, for instance, if a home is on the market for rent, I approach that homeowner, or I approach the apartment complex, and I say, hey, I see your home. This is something that they put out there. This is not necessarily me directly marketing. You can do that too, but they've already put it out there. Hey, this house is for rent. Come and rent my house. And I say, ooh, me, I'll come and rent your house, and I will pay you that $1,300, that $1,800 a month that you want, or $2,000 a month, if it makes sense, that you want. And I'm going to pay it on time. But here's what I'm going to do with it. I am going to set it up for furnished accommodations for traveling professionals, because that is my business model. I set up properties for furnished accommodations for traveling professionals. Okay, so you're going to get your monthly rate. You want insurance, you want to be the additional insured, I'm going to do that. I'm going to get the renter's insurance, additional insured. But guess what? The reason that I'm going to be your ideal customer is because, number one, I take care of minor maintenance issues. Number two, your home is going to be professionally cleaned monthly at the least, if not more frequently than that. Number three, it's going to be staged in a stunning manner, and I'm going to give you the rights to the photos. So then you could use my photos later on. And guys, you see, I take some really nice photos, so you can have access to those photos, so that later on when you want to place it back on the market or sell it, hopefully not, maybe you can sell it to me because I like to buy houses, you have those photos, and we're going to really take care of your home. And because our business hinges on this, and we don't make money if we don't have furnished accommodations that are a great space that receive 5-star ratings for customers, we're going to take care of your home. Number 4, I know you're worried about noise, and I know you've seen things on the news. I know you're worried about that. We place noise aware machines or minute machines in all of our units, so that we can monitor the noise. We place cameras, ring cameras on the exterior of the unit so we can monitor who is coming in and out of the property, and to ensure that the property is well taken care of. Who's supposed to be there, they're there, because we want to make sure that the property is well taken care of. And so that is arbitrage. You rent the property from a homeowner, from a landlord, you become the tenant, and then you set it up as a short-term rental. Okay. The next model is the property management model. Property management is different because it's kind of like you're taking care of the life cycle. The homeowner either has the property set up already or they don't have it set up. You work alongside them, you help them set it up, and then you get a percentage of the monthly revenue, okay? And for me, I typically manage the funds. I get a percentage, whether it's anywhere from 20, 25 to 30%. And then I manage the guests, I manage the cleaners, I manage the whole life cycle of the process as though I own the home myself. However, I don't pay the mortgage, I don't pay any of the bills. I don't have a dime in this deal. Okay, so going back to ownership, you're putting down your 5, 10, 20% down to get started plus furnishings, right? Arbitrage, you're putting down first and last month's rent and then furnishings, right? Property management, you're putting $0 into the deal. If you structure it correctly, because you don't want to light money on fire, structure correctly, you're putting $0 into the deal, but you have the lion's share of all of the work that comes with it. You know, managing the cleaners, managing the I'm drawing a blank. Managing the cleaners, managing the guests, all of the communications that comes with it, all of it. You're managing, I'm managing the problems, managing the resolutions, you're managing it all. That is property management, okay? In some states, again, you cannot be a property manager if you're not a licensed realtor. So keep that in mind. I know New Jersey, Pennsylvania, those are some states, okay? And finally, co-host, California is another state also. Finally, co-hosting, okay, property manager, I'm gonna get a percentage. Co-hosting, you have the least amount of responsibility, but you have the least amount of revenue, okay? So co-hosting, it's already set up, they've got it launched for the most part. You're coming alongside a listing that's already happening, and you're helping to maybe manage the revenue, manage the communications, you know, and co-hosting is loose, okay? So usually co-hosts are getting 10 to 15% of revenue. Property managers are getting 30%, and co-hosting, you'll get the money after the homeowner, you know, gets paid. Property manager, you get the money first, then you pay the homeowner. Like I pay them on the 15th of every month of what's left over. So co-hosting, you have less control, you have less risk, but you have less financial reward. However, co-hosting is a business that I've seen that is so scalable. One of my friends, he just hit his first 6-figure month on 33 properties co-hosting. So if you know, are good and you can scale, you know, you can, co-hosting can be very, very profitable. So again, those are the 4 lines of business within this approach. Okay. All right. And number 6, we made it to number 6. Again, what is your management approach? So if you're purchasing a home, how do you intend to have it managed? Are you going to use an in-house resort management company? So for example, a condotel, who here knows what a condotel is? Please say yes or no in the chat. And I'm going to look and see because, okay. Yeah, so that's interesting, guys. And I'm always chomping at the bit for a deal. So I went to Orlando, Florida, and I kid you not, here's the simple way to understand what a condotel is. Pretend like a hotel, right? A hotel decides, you know what, we're going to become condos. That's it. That's a condotel. A hotel decides they want to be condos. So for example, as you're pulling up to the property, There's baggage, there's that bellhop, there's the front desk, okay, where you check in. It looks like a straight up hotel, guys, but each unit in that hotel is owned by a homeowner. And then they pay an HOA or a management fee. So that's a condotel, okay? I've seen it in 2 places personally, but I know it's everywhere. I've seen it in Florida, Orlando to be specific. I went in and I almost purchased one, and I backed out of it because well, my husband made me back out of it because the HOA, well, the management fee was 55%. Can someone get a reaction? Give me a reaction of that. The management fee being 55%. I would love a reaction.
Ridiculous.
Right. Right.
Somebody in the chat said WTF.
Right. Right.
You're a pimp. What the heck?
Right. So listen, guys, it's not uncommon. Watch, you're going to meet a lot of people who own short-term rentals that are a part of a condotel. It's not going to be uncommon. In Myrtle Beach, oh my goodness, it's not going to be uncommon. But guess what? There's a wave pool, and there's also an HOA to pay. And by the end of the day, I wasn't making any money. Like when I did the math, I can say, wait, what about, where's the money? Like you're not making a dime. Like, and the properties, it's a 1 or 2 bedroom hotel. They manage everything. So essentially it's passive, but it's still $250,000 for a 2 bedroom hotel, or 1 bedroom hotel was like 210 or something like that. So yeah, a hard no. And here's the other problem, guys. Lenders are going to be really specific. You can only get a commercial lender to do that deal with like 30% down. And so, like I told you, I like to put as little down as possible, which is probably against what, the rules for being an investor, but that's how I roll. Look, 30% down, no lenders want to touch it except for 1 or 2 commercial lenders. That is a condotel. So if something says a condotel, just know what you're dealing with. I'm not going to speak poorly of it. A lot of people use that as their investment strategy, and some smart people too, but I just don't see the light at the end of the tunnel with that. So I don't use condotel. So when you use an in-house resort management company, that's usually a condotel. You walk into such and such condotel, and it's not going to be called a condotel. It's going to be so-and-so resort of Sandy Toes or something, right? It's a condotel when you go to the front desk and it looks like a hotel. Because usually condos, you can go in and you try to find your room, you go in the elevator or you go somewhere. But if someone's greeting you at the front desk and there's that whole situation, that is a condotel, my friend. And just know that you're looking at the commercial lending higher, everything's high. Just say everything's high. Okay. And then there's more. There's like every quarter you have to pay a special fee for them to refresh everything. And it's like, so everything's high. So that's a condotel. Now, are you looking to hire a property manager to take care of everything? And you can do that, and there's nothing wrong with that if you can trust, if you have a trusted property manager, right? But I don't think you're at REI USA or Rei-con to be doing that. In my course, I teach you how to manage yourself. And there are systems. Oh, and I love Amy's talk on systems. There are systems and a setup that you could put in place so that you do not need to hire a property manager to take care of everything for you. Okay, you can take care of the vast majority of it through delegation, through processes. You may need to hire a couple boots on the ground, to come in and out. That's part of the system. But to hire a property, when someone is getting a percentage of your business, right? This is your business. That always gives me pause, because my business is my sweat, blood, and tears. Why should someone else get a percentage of it unless they're doing the vast majority of the work and I'm hands off? I'm not there where, I'm happy to give someone away a percentage of my business. I'll give you $200 to do something, but you're not getting a percentage of my business. That's my own beef. Okay, just saying. Okay, you can hire a co-host. Okay, what is your management? You can hire a co-host, and we spoke about co-hosts a little bit earlier. Co-hosts are those folks who are going to communicate with the guests for you in a timely manner, and that's 15% of your business. or 10% of your business. Again, I wouldn't recommend it. I hire my VAs on an hourly basis and I have them take care of all of that communication for me because I work at W2. Number 4, self-manage myself. I self-manage myself. I self-manage everything, but I hire the different tradespeople as I need them to come in and help me. So I self-manage, and the reason you're at Rei-con, you're not a typical investor, you're an investor that wants all the tools in place. And that's what we're teaching in our luxury short-term rental investing group, is how to self-manage yourself. And if your management pro is like, I don't even know yet, this is too much, don't worry. Don't worry, we will get there. We'll get there on this journey together for sure. You're going to figure out what's going to be the best model for you if you stick along with REI USA. So, and then lastly, I want you to think about the future. Are you wanting to scale to buy other properties in the future? And so think about that ahead of time. Are you that type of person who just wants one, or do you want to scale? And I would assume yes, because you're at Rei-con and you're at REI USA, you want to scale. You want to buy a couple, you want to buy 5, in the future. And so if that's the case, it's going to be important how you're structuring yourself, how you're structuring your loan, because what I'm finding is debt to income ratio is coming into play. Again, I'm a W2, so for me, I have to look at that. How do I leverage commercial loans now? So trying to refinance things into commercial, into the business, all of that asset management, risk mitigation, all of that becomes a part of it too. And so those are the 6 key decisions, folks. I hope this was helpful. Again, you can find me on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of the month at 9 a.m. And I'll open it now for any questions.
And Rachel is also in the Facebook group, and she's very active in the Facebook group. So you can always post out questions and tag her too, right? So she's like short-term rental, queen. She's becoming the short-term rental queen. Okay, good. A friend and I did a short-term rental in Dallas for about 18 months. Before we encountered HOA issues. We were super hosts on Airbnb. Other than the HOA issue, our only other real problem was setting the rates, which is what, she goes into in the sessions.
Yeah. Oh, HOAs, guys. Oh, and I have so many stories about HOAs. HOAs, I've seen stories where they've gone to court, and I've heard that Dallas is really good. Are the vast majority of the homes in Dallas HOA friendly, or in HOAs? Because I would not do an HOA in a city. I would only do an HOA like in a resort, like a vacation home with a community that has a community pool, a boat slip or something like that. But I would not do an HOA in the city.
Okay, if you do arbitrage, are you obligated to let the owner know how you're using the property?
Absolutely. Yeah. You want to be upfront. I don't know if I would lead with that. I would come in and just see, if it is going to be a property that meets your needs. But I wouldn't lead with, hey, I'm here to do arbitrage, or hey, I'm here to do Airbnb. Never use those words, right? Listen to how I phrased it. Hi, my name is Rachel with Short-Term Gems. I provide furnished accommodations for traveling professionals that are coming to the area, period.
Good.
So I see what Maddie said. Maddie says, we had landlord's permission and it was included in our lease. Maddie, I have seen that. I promise you, I've seen where the landlord gives permission. Everyone's happy. It's included in the lease. Guess what? The HOA wakes up on the wrong side of bed and it's all kaput. HOAs are so emotional. They're the worst.
It's hard to deal with HOAs. They're ridiculous.
So hard, right, Stacey?
Yeah, we lived in a community of HOAs, and it was just so many rules. It's like, it's just too much.
And it changes, and that's
and then they just like randomly change. They just do whatever.
Yeah. Just say no to HOAs, period. Unless you're in a resort community where over 50% of the properties are short-term rentals.
Yeah.
No to HOAs, just no.
Yeah, we stayed in a condo in Orlando that was mostly HOAs, and they were like super friendly. Now they had some like some rules and stuff, but like they were really very easygoing because that's just what they did there. I mean, if
Yeah,
somebody's
no,
gonna buy a $300,000 condo, most of the time they want to just rent that thing out, and make some money on it in Orlando.
exactly. And it's Orlando, where the home of Mickey Mouse. People are coming from overseas to see Mickey, right? But if you're telling me you're going to Peachtree City to do an HOA situation, I would say abort, abort. No, don't
Yeah,
do it.
yeah,
Because that's not, that is not a vacation rental market. That is
yeah.
a business travel market, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
Get it?
Well,
Okay, good.
okay. Would you do
Okay, we
it?
got to get on out of here because Nate's waiting for the next
Oh,
one. So, yeah, and she does do traveling nurses as well, right? Just real
I
quick.
do.
Yeah, she
I
is traveling.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the revenue is not going to be as high for traveling nurses. So you got to strategically, position that. So, yeah.
Yeah, do luxury. If you want to make a lot of money, you got to do luxury, but then you got to pay some money for your stuff. That's the thing. But in the end, it really kind of pays off. I mean, her model, what Rachel has, is honestly, if I was going to do short-term rentals, it would be that. It would be that. I just don't have the patience.
That's why you got to hire some VAs, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I leverage my team, guys, for sure.
Okay, good. Well, we appreciate it, Rachel. Thank